This presentation is going to relate how the dashboards and the LCAP relate to local decision making for the California Accountability System. The dashboards have three purposes. It's to identify areas of strengths, weakness, and areas for improvement. Also determines eligibility for technical assistance. That means an outside group is going to help you improve. And number three, if you don't have significant improvement with the outside group, then the state will come in and do some more intensive work with your team. The accountability system is based on two sets of indicators, the state indicator. We have the state indicator here and also the local indicator. And going into the fall, the only three indicators that are going to launch anyone into technical assistance are those three at this time, priorities 4, 5, and 6. The other priorities will come on board at a later time. At this time, the dashboards will be released again. What I'm hearing is December 1st. So again, looking at those three priorities, priority 4, pupil achievement, priority 5, pupil engagement, and priority 6, school climate. It's all about whether you are a red on the indicators for ELA and math, or if you're red on either ELA and math and orange on the other, so red or orange. And then for the other part of the academic indicator, you have red on the EL indicator, ELI indicator, English language learner. So that'd be priority 4. Priority 5 is really all about graduation rate or chronic absenteeism. It's one of those. You have to be red on one of those. And then priority 6, the school climate, and it's red on the suspension rate indicator. Now, what actually gets you into technical assistance is if you are eligible based on two of these areas. So let's say you're eligible in priority 4 and priority 6 on suspension rate, you are now eligible for technical assistance. If it's only one of those, you're not eligible. And just to recall, those red and orange colors come from the 5x5 grid. You may need to review on that, but big ideas on here is that you have change going across the top, and then on the side we have status and change, just to remind you of those two concepts. So we're going to analyze some dashboards in the context of technical assistance, again in terms of whether you're red or orange in the priority 4s or reds in priority 5 and 6. So the California dashboard and the LCAP, how they're related, this is very important, is that if you are red or orange on any indicator, red or orange in any indicator, that means that's a greatest need issue. Also, if you're not met or not met for 2 years on the ratings, and these are from the local indicators, that would be a greatest need also. And these red or oranges obviously come from the state indicators. Now the other area besides greatest need is performance gaps. And we're going to go and study this, but basically if a student group was 2 or more performance levels below all student performance, that's a performance gap. And so that would be information that could help drive your improvement efforts. So that's how it's related into LCAP. So again, here's those priority indicators. We needed to review those. And now here we go. We're going to analyze our first dashboard. So we analyze our first dashboard based on our indicators. And so I've just highlighted those along the way, 4, 5, and 6, the various indicators, and just highlighted those in yellow. So the academic indicators are like right here in yellow, and you see where chronic absenteeism and suspension rate. So with that, we have a category right here that clearly is eligible for technical assistance, because as you go across, they have a red for suspension rate, and that was one of the issues. Chronic absenteeism obviously isn't applicable, so you're going to figure out real quick that's all about suspension rate and the academic indicators. And we have a red and an orange right here that makes that student group, specific student group, eligible for technical assistance, or that district is now eligible for technical assistance because it's a district view right now. Let's go ahead and if you need to read that one more time, you can pause this. Now let's go on to another category. Let's look at this one. Go ahead and analyze it. See where you can look at the suspension rate indicators and the chronic absenteeism as they come up based on those priorities. If you want to pause this, you can. But what jumps out at us right away is that suspension rate indicator is red all the way across. It's red all the way across. So this is a huge issue that may launch a district into technical assistance. They need one other area, obviously not chronic absenteeism, because there's no data. So now we look at the academic indicators. This is green, so this is good. That's really good. But what's going to launch this district into technical assistance is right here, because you have a pair of reds on English and math. This right, and all the way over here on white, you're okay. No worries there. There was an orange, but no worries. So really the only place where this district is eligible for technical assistance, again, is students with disabilities. We have two areas. They're eligible because of suspension rate, and they're eligible because ELA and math are both red on those indicators. Need another view. There you go. Okay, here's another district, and so go ahead, and this one's a bit different because it has more information here, like college and career readiness. This is a unified school district because it has grades 3 through 8 there, and it also has the college career indicator. So this is a K-12 district. Now, same priorities apply as we look through. We're okay on suspension rate indicator, we're good there. EL progress indicator, we're great. Graduation rate's phenomenal going across the top. Oh, wait a minute, there were white students that we're concerned about, but when we look down, there are no EL or math, so not enough kids to test there. So very small population there. You don't have to worry about the white population. But then going across for EL, we have a concern. Here's some EL learners. So this would be again, anytime you see orange or red, it's a greatest need situation. There's a great need right now with ELs in English language arts, but yellow on math. And then we have this right here with students with special with disabilities, pair of reds. That would be one priority area that could launch them into technical assistance. But because this is orange and not red, this district here is not eligible for technical assistance. But there are clearly great need areas. Anything in orange and red are great needs. And so those are all those categories again. And now let's take a look at this. This is your district. This is your district view. Now you can take a look at your district view and look and see if there's any areas of concern for technical assistance. So as you look through, we're good on suspension rate. We're okay because there are no reds. Graduation rate, there is one concern right here, students with disabilities, that's red. So that's a concern. Going down, college career indicator, that won't come out until later. So now we're looking at ELA and math, and as we go across the students with disabilities, we have a pair of oranges. And so this district is not eligible because one of these would have to be red. If one of these was red, then it would be eligible. But since it's not red, then that indicator is okay. It's just that it's super close. So that would be an area of concern or an area to give some attention to in terms of technical assistance. And again, any area that has an orange on here or a red in this particular district is an area that there's great need as it relates to the LCAP. So those would be areas to focus some attentions on. And again, I just highlight those indicators. Now let's go with a view of a school within the district. So now this is a elementary school within the district. We can do some analysis. And again, suspension rate is awesome. But as we look at the academic indicators, English learner progress is orange, so that's not eligible, but it is a great need in terms of the LCAP. We also have an issue right here. We have a red on ELA and an orange on math. This right here would be an eligibility criteria for technical assistance, but because suspension rate is blue, this school site would not be eligible for technical assistance. Again, technical assistance at this point is based on district, but as a district looks into your schools, your various schools, this dashboard can help you as a district view your school sites in terms of accountability how they're growing, where their greatest needs are, and later on we'll talk about greatest performance as well. So it's not all necessarily negative. There are definitely positive things going on with our district, and we want to highlight those as well. Here's another area need that's obvious too, para-reds. So potentially, as you look at this particular school in terms of the accountability system, you'd want to focus on your African American population, what's happening with those students, and your English learners, and that EL progress indicator would be more criteria to help guide your improvement efforts. So that's the idea of what would launch you into technical assistance and this idea of greatest needs. Now what we're going to do is take a look at performance gaps. And a performance gap is this. A performance gap is that you first look at all students, and then you're going to take a look across. You're going to take a look across these subgroups. And if there's anywhere where there's two color points below the all students, that's considered a performance gap. So right here you have green, which has like 4 slices of the pie shaded, and then you come over here, here's an orange that has 2 slices of that pie shaded, so that's a performance gap. And then if you continue to look across, you can see another performance gap with 2 or more races. So even though suspension grade is great for all students, this is where we have some performance gaps. This is how the California accountability system is set up for this idea of equity. With equity, even though all students are going great, we want to look at various student groups to see where we can help improve them. And you can see another one with ELA, green with ELA, but then going across, we can see that we have an orange. So that's an area of a performance gap, and you can see that one in math as well. Here's another example. If you want to pause this to see if you can determine where performance gaps are, again, you would look at the all students first. Then you're going to look across, so with a suspension rate with orange, so let's look across to see if there's a red. Sure enough, there's a red, so that's a performance gap. And we look at ELA indicator, there's another performance gap, and another performance gap with math. And so students with disabilities are showing up with performance gaps and also areas of greatest need. Now here's your district view in terms of performance task. Again, this is your district, and you can take that lens and look at this. I went ahead and put the academic indicators in there. Here's all students. Now you look to the right. From green, are there any oranges? We look all the way to the right. Keep on going. Yes, there are. Right here, there is your performance gap as a district. So you'd call that out in your LCAP. But again, this was a school site level. You'd still want to have that information to help improve students. We'll jump down here to graduation rate. We're orange, so that means we're looking for a red. Here is a performance gap with students with disabilities. And then lastly, going all the way to the bottom with ELA and math, there are no performance gaps because from yellow you need to get all the way down to red. But again, that's in terms of performance gap. If we use this idea of greatest need, you still have great need because these things are orange. And this is also a great need up here with the EL indicator. So anything orange and red are greatest needs, but in terms of performance gaps, it's really taking things like suspension rate, which is green here, when you have high level performance, and then you have a lower level performance here. That's really why performance gap was created. Because inherently, if you're yellow in this column right here, you're still looking for red out there. Okay, here's a school within the district, within your district, looking at this in terms of performance gaps. Again, suspension rate is awesome. And then in terms of the academic indicator, you can probably see it right away. As you go across, we have a concern right here with English learners. We also have a concern with African American and in ELA, and then also here with math in terms of performance gaps. But again, this idea of greatest need, you would still want to be focusing on oranges too. All right, so hopefully that gives you some information on how you're using the dashboards in terms of highlighting areas where there is need. And again, the accountability system was threefold, and one of those three folds is to point out, are there equity gap issues? And that's based on student performance in various student groups. So greatest progress, this is the opportunity for you as a district and also as a school site to really highlight your story, create your story on the things that have really led to improved performance for students. And so you may look to the LCAP for that, because you can go deeper into the LCAP. Right here in the status and change report, you can highlight things that have been going on in the district that has gone well. And so, increasing by 83 points on ELA and increasing 15 points in mathematics are called increased and increased significantly. And so huge terms next to those. And so those areas, great growth, feel very good about it. Yeah, you may have declined a bit on suspension rate, but look, the suspension rate is still green. And just FYI, that suspension rate indicators data is really old. Most likely your district has already progressed forward with that suspension rate. But this is where you want to be able to tell your story as to what's happening. Yes, we might have some declines in some groups, but overall, we really increased significantly. Our program's moving well. So that would be an idea of how you could look at data for greatest progress and the linkage back to the LCAP. Now lastly, as we look in here, just a reminder, the three key shifts that took place with the California accountability system is that we're more than a single number, no longer an API, many numbers. This idea of equity is that it focuses on addressing disparities among student groups. That's why we have the performance gap of 2 or more and also areas of greatest need. And then lastly, this all is about supporting local decision making. What can you do locally as a team, as a district, as a school site to be able to inform the LCAP to make decisions in regards to funding sources and program in order to increase and improve your system. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. Hopefully this gives you an idea of how the California Accountability System works in terms of the dashboards and those big ideas with what greatest need is, which is again red and orange. That's a great need. Performance gaps, if you're 2 or more colors away, that's an area of concern that focuses again on equity. And then lastly, highlight your story. Some great things going on in our districts. Again, this is the accountability system that can help inform the direction of your district and what you do. And look towards your CAS scores and other measurable data that you have in order to really target those more specific things that you need to improve. If it's math and ELA, that's obvious in those areas, but suspension rates and graduation rates and all those sorts of things may have some things to do, let's say, with a PBIS approach in order to help improve our students. Because again, if Maslow hierarchy of needs is not foundational for our students and our systems, then Bloom's taxonomy of getting to those higher levels are really difficult to get to. So with that, this is a great morning, and hopefully you have a better understanding of what we're doing here in California.